thinking I would do like tech or like math or something like that.
What did you go to school for?
Math.
Yeah. Wow, just straight up math.
Literally
or was
pure
like
math. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's sick. Whoa.
We're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
That's true.
Like, you are doing your job, and I am doing my job.
Getting paid
and
for this.
we are writing a song
about
eggs, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's important.
That is an incredible world to live in.
Yeah. I don't think it's usually people being like, I don't want to hire women. I think it's a convenience thing more than anything.
Yeah.
I think it's like, how many are there available to you on your roster?
Yeah.
And I think also more than anything, it's like people don't want to take that risk sometimes.
You know who you have. Welcome to the I Feel You Vodcast. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and on this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking to Amara Jaeger. Amara Jaeger is a Brooklyn-based producer, DJ, composer, songwriter, and recording engineer. Working mainly out of Hyperballad Music, a studio and commercial music house in Brooklyn. She is also a recording engineer at Atlantic Records. Since 2020, she is a part of the core team behind Gender Amplified, a collective looking to support, celebrate, and connect female and non-binary music producers. On this episode, we speak on the birth of originality, the dynamics between men and women in the music industry, and how we can be more inclusive to others. Thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing. And if you enjoy this episode, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when episodes do come out. It really helps the channel, and we appreciate it immensely. Without further ado, enjoy. Amara, and then what's your last name?
Jaeger.
Jaeger.
Like
cool.
the Jägermeister. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yep.
Jägermeister works
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Do you watch anime?
I would say saying no would be unfair though, because like I definitely did. People told me about Attack on Titan so much that I did start it, and then they were like, okay, maybe that was too much for you, so they were like, you should actually start with Death Note. So then I started with Death Note, and I actually loved that one. That one was cool.
That's a really cool anime.
And then I don't think this really counts, but obviously Avatar. So that's like a little bit.
It's like a Western anime.
Edging anime.
That I would consider the best introductory.
Yes,
because it gets you kind of in the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of similar to our cartoons.
Exactly.
But it gets you there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a big anime head, so
yeah. Love that.
When I read your last name, when I saw it on your Instagram, I was like, I wonder if that's like the artist name because of that, or if that's her actual last name, or if it's like, something to relate at least.
Yeah, definitely. No, I've been thinking about shortening it because I also think there's so many artists that have like the 3-syllable names. I'm like, is 4 too much? But then sometimes I feel like we underestimate people. Maybe people have the attention span for 4 syllables, hopefully.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think it's a great name.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a fantastic name. I don't know anybody else that has the last name Jaeger.
It's a common German name.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not so uncommon in Germany, but it would be spelled like J-A with an umlaut. So, yeah, crazy German stuff. Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to say.
Yeah.
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 Cool. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit last minute too that we asked you, and you were just like so down.
Yeah.
Which is always great.
Definitely. Yeah,
you're easy to work with so far.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, ask me later.
Quick question, just because I'm curious. From your experience, what is your like leading it up in such a basic question? What's your favorite album?
Oh my goodness. I was like, I was wondering if you were going to ask me this. Okay. I have
please don't ask me this.
I have a really hard time with favorites, like genuinely. Same. Like everybody I really, does. Really do. So maybe I'll just tell you like ones I've been listening to a lot recently.
That works.
Okay. I actually have been listening to this like Roisin Murphy album a lot. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's like an Irish name, I think.
Sick.
But it's like, I think it's maybe like 2005, 2007, like something like that. And I really love her stuff. But I've been on like a deep dive with her. I don't know. I can't tell you an all-time favorite album. I just can't, because I feel like there's sort of like a musical heritage of like stuff I grew up with, stuff that is just always going to be kind of baseline to me that I love. And then there's like newer things that inspire me now. And then there's things that I admire the songwriting or the production on.
Yeah.
So
that's totally fair.
I say no to favorites. I'm very sorry.
That's the only right answer.
Okay.
Anytime somebody has a favorite,
Yeah.
it's because they haven't listened to enough music.
Right.
So
right.
I feel that.
Do you have a favorite album?
Not really. I listened to a lot of, like, one of the most influential albums of my life was Forest Hills Drive by J. Cole.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That one was really got me into his artistry and what he does, and also just exposed me to so much more music. I just, around that time it was high school, so I was like super. That was like the soundtrack for our life, me and my friends.
Yeah.
So that's probably one that's like most influential. I don't think I have a favorite, but there's a lot of them. There's so many albums out there.
I guess to me, so like music is a mood. It's like it has to be, and to rank it feels beside the point to me. You know what I mean? Which I think actually goes to a lot of what we're going to talk about today, of like competitiveness, and like there doesn't have to be a best one. There can just be like one that is now, and one that is later, and one that is then, and like, you know, can just.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
Yeah,
too.
it's
one
like
that used to be, one that's not. Yeah. That's really cool.
And whatever moods you're in, and whatever it makes you feel is great. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, whatever makes you feel. Feel is everywhere.
It's giving Project
thing.
Feel. Yeah,
it really is. Why music? What got you into making music, and you know, what got you to the point that you're at now, when that's your whole life is all music?
Yeah. Okay. So my whole life is music at this point. It's true. And I think I got there from like a series of coincidences that kind of stacked up in a way.
Okay.
But I also think that, and this sounds kind of corny, but I think that like when you are meant to be doing something, the coincidences just like do stack up like that.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like there's sort of a way where you can look back and be like, oh, this was like always what I was meant to be doing. Like in a way, like I wrote songs as a kid. Like I literally have recordings that I made as like a baby kid, of like little songs I wrote, and like I did a remix as a little kid. Like not
Sick.
like production, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I have like these recordings of like myself as a kid, like fooling around doing all this stuff. And then I remember like in middle school, I played guitar, and like I would play like Taylor Swift songs like in middle school, and I'm sure my parents have videos of that.
Yeah,
that they're saving to embarrass me with someday. And you know, and then like I made recordings just of like myself doing covers in high school, and like writing some songs, whatever. So I don't know, there is a way where like you can look back and be like, this is always what I meant to do, but I really didn't plan to like do music full time. I really didn't plan to. I think it was just like the pandemic. I graduated college into the pandemic, so in 2020.
Oh wow.
Which was really a big part of it, I think. I don't know, it left me just completely like loose ends, like completely stranded pretty much. And I had taken in college, I'd taken a production class in music.
Just one?
Yes, one production class, like Intro to Ableton or whatever.
Nice.
And I was like, I love Ableton, this is awesome. And like, and I knew that I had kind of found something special, because I was like, I actually sort of started to recognize that like all the moments I had loved in music before were kind of production moments. Like anytime I would like go back and like I'd be listening to a song and I'd be like, no, let me rewind and hear that part again. Like it was usually a production moment rather than like a songwriting moment. Although that too. But so I don't know. When I found production in college, I really loved it. I was like, this is what I've wanted. You don't have to be really like virtuosic on any one thing. You just have to kind of be like a generalist and like know how to like arrange things and kind of like have a vision in your head and then be able to bring it to life. I was like, I love this. But then I went into quarantine, obviously. Then from there, you can imagine many beats were made. So that's kind of what like brought me deeper into it. And I don't know, I was thinking I would do like tech or like math or something like that.
What did you go to school for?
Math.
Yeah. Wow, just straight at math.
Literally
or was
pure
like
math.
That's sick. Whoa.
And I actually love it. Like proofs, like
You love math?
I'm like a nerd. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh shit. That's
absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
So no, but math is very musical. Like music is math.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And like math is very creative. So that also bothers me when people do the like right brain, left brain, like binary thing. I think that's dumb.
Humans need binaries.
Right. I guess it helps us. Yeah. And fair enough. But anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you're good. I'm gonna keep going. You college, you know,
Okay, yeah. So I graduated college. I was like, what am I doing? I ended up just kind of going through my like college like alumni network and being like, who's doing things that sound like I wouldn't want to die at work. Like, who's doing something where like I wouldn't hate my job maybe.
That sounds cool, at least.
And it ended up, yeah, like it kept being like music journalist or like producer or like, I don't know. I just started sort of like talking to people and they were all like, yeah, I love my job. And I was like, you're the first person I've like heard say that. Yeah. And I guess maybe part of it too is like I had my first full-time job completely remotely in the pandemic. So it was like, I was like, I can't do this.
That's so wild.
Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure that's influenced like my idea of like what like a normal like work life would be. But anyway, yeah. So I ended up connecting with this woman, Emily Smith, who's kind of been like my mentor for like the past many years. And I just like got on a phone call with her and, I got off the phone and I was like her assistant. Like she was just like, "Do you want to be my assistant?" And I was like, "Okay." And I didn't really know what I was getting into. I was like, maybe this woman's like crazy. Like maybe she's gonna like take advantage of me. Like I don't know. But just say yes. Like is kind of my thing.
For
and
sure.
then like until people give you a reason to say
exactly.
No.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like look for the reasons, but say yes and see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So we said yes. It went great. She's amazing.
Awesome.
Work for her to this day. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so she has the organization called Gender Amplified, which is I've been really involved in with her.
We're gonna talk about that. As well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really through her that like a lot of these doors opened up. So I got into a studio for the first time with her, and I was kind of just doing like admin work for her, but I sort of like snuck into a studio and made that happen. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, and then several more coincidences later, kind of,
and now we're here.
Stuff. Yeah,
there
exactly.
What are some misconceptions that you might have had when you first like? Because you talked about Ableton and then producing, and you're like, oh, this is fun, and just kind of realizing, you know, based on your past, that you've always had an interest in producing. Yeah. Did you have any misconceptions going into that industry that you later found out were the opposite of what you thought?
I think like I thought you needed a whole studio to like do anything. Yeah. And like you absolutely don't. Yeah, you really don't. Yeah. So many beats are just like made on a laptop. Yeah. And like sometimes, I mean, even now that I have like access to like several like $1 million studios, like I sometimes find I do my most creative work like on just like a little laptop with my little headphones, like the same setup that I would have been using like then. So it's just very sort of like safe and contained and like easy and has kind of less steps to go through. For sure. So yeah, I think there's that. I also think I just frankly didn't really understand what a producer like did. Like, and I think it's like, I feel like people are like more aware of it now. Maybe.
I would say so, probably.
Just you know what I mean? Because it's been a little more democratized.
The way music culture has developed, I think the producer has slowly come into kind of the mainstream in terms of the work that they do. And I think a lot more respect has been paid to producers. Not enough, but I think that, it just became more popular, especially with people like Kenny Beats, who are like mainstream producers now.
Exactly.
That
and
just
are
do
making
live
the
streams.
Content. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They do YouTube content where they show their entire like workflow and what exactly they do. I think a lot of the times too, it's always when an industry is like budding and kind of stays exclusive for a long time, I think that once accessibility starts to open up, right, I think that that's when people start to be more aware. But it takes a while for that to happen, just because the people within the industry, you know, they want to kind of be like, no, you don't. Yeah, you know, secrets are mine. Like I'm making a lot of money off of just knowing this thing that nobody else knows.
There's still a lot of that, I will say.
Oh, for sure, especially in production. So I think that now it's much more popular to consider being a producer. I think it's still pretty fantasy like when it comes to that, which is kind of all art at this point. Like everybody thinks it's like a fantasy world that you live in when you're an artist.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But production is one of those where it's like you really don't understand how there's so much skill in production that people kind of think is just like, oh, you just have an ear, or you just have like, you know, you're good at finding instruments or whatever. It's like, no, structure is incredibly important, and you kind of there's a lot of work in that.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It can be pretty technical as well. Yeah. But I mean, it is also just like, I don't want to underestimate, like sometimes it is easy and creative and just like sometimes it just like goes, and like you don't need too many elements. But yeah, you can definitely be in a situation with like hundreds of tracks and a ton of editing to do, and like there's definitely a lot of work and skill involved for sure.
And also when you're doing client work as well.
Yes.
How many times have you been told that they want to add trap hats to a track?
That's funny. Okay, well, not that often because mostly
Really?
I do commercial work.
Okay.
So it's usually not giving trap hats, but you never know.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, do you produce as well for clients?
I know a lot of producers,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of I'm in the world a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
produce fully myself. No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of people who do sync.
Nice.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. No, and I really like the challenge of sync because like it is a specific thing. It's so funny, and I never really would have thought that I would have like loved it or ended up there because I'm not, let me tell you, I'm not capitalist like that. Like I really am not. So it's just so funny that I ended up being like an ad man, you know,
Yeah.
jingles and everything. But no, I think it's so fun to get like a prompt and like have to run with it.
Yeah.
And I also think like my job really makes me better every day. There's ways where like there's certain times where they'll give you a prompt that's like in 30 seconds. Like, okay, this past week, you have 25 seconds to get through 4 genres of music and evoke like each genre and like switch them up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I think it was like reggaeton, Afro beats, pop, and like kind of like a hip hop like intro type hype up. And I just like love that because it's like already you have to condense like a musical idea to like 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then can you do that in like 10 seconds or like 5 seconds and like make this whole complete world in just like such a small amount of time? I think is like
Oh my goodness.
kind of a really cool like exercise and just like makes me better as like a producer and just kind of ready to like use those skills to like execute on anything else, you know? I love that.
A question that I was gonna ask when we got more into production and stuff, but since we're already here, do you feel like you're able to be, I mean, it sounds like you are, but do you feel like you're able to be more creative, or you're still able to be creative when you're creating jingles and doing work like that? Like, do you still find a lot of creativity within
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Because even when they tell you what they want, like there's a million directions to go with it.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's so creative. I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally. I mean, some of them are so silly. I'll change the name of this one because I don't want to like call anyone out.
Of course.
But we were doing this one like last year, I think, for it was, let's say, like the egg industry of America, just
Nice.
broadly,
Just eggs.
the fact that
I love
eggs.
Yeah.
And like we had to write basically jingles about like different egg products and like why we loved them. And like sometimes they even like gave us lyrics of like, here's what you have to say about eggs. And I don't know, I have this like, I think like working in general and like the structures of this weird late stage capitalism that we live in are so like surreal and bizarre anyway that I want my job to be like as bizarre as possible.
For sure.
Like it makes me feel better than being like, oh, this is normal, like this is fine.
This is whatever.
So anyway, we got this like professional singer in the studio to like riff about like egg and cheese bagels and like whatever egg products. And I was like, what's amazing right now is that we're both at work and like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
That's true.
Like, you are doing your job and I am doing my job.
Getting paid
and
for this.
we are writing a song
Yes.
about eggs. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's important.
That is an incredible world to live in. That's beautiful. I love that. I'm glad to know that, or I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of creativity that's still wanted, or at least you're able to be creative. Because, like I said, I do know a few people in sync, and I mean, from what I've seen and what they tell me, I mean, it seems like it is challenging at times, for sure, depending on the needs of the company. And sometimes you're working with people that don't necessarily know music. They just know that there's this other commercial that they heard that sounds really good and they want something like pretty much that, but just not that, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll tell you like, we want this song, but it can't be this song.
Right.
So make a song that sounds like this song.
Yes.
But don't copy the song.
I kind of love that type of thing.
That's great. Yeah, it
because
sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, it's really
challenge.
cool to kind of start by trying to reproduce something.
Yeah.
And like either you can reproduce it perfectly, in which case like amazing, you're a great producer, cool. Or you can't, which is more likely, and then you end up with something cool and you kind of can go from there. And I also think it's like everything is inspired by something else. Like we all know this. It's like obviously copyright laws are complicated. Like we have the whole like Ed Sheeran case that just came down last week.
Wild.
That's crazy.
He got out, right? He was
as he should have. I mean, that was crazy. But obviously like all that stuff is like valid and like people's rights should be protected, but I guess everything's inspired by something. Like nothing comes out of nowhere.
Everything's a derivative at this point. Yeah,
exactly. And I think like sometimes starting from a concrete place and like seeing where it goes is like a cool exercise.
Yeah.
I also
to think about as well, because I mean, oftentimes when you're listening to music, or I know this happens a lot in hip hop culture, but it's like, oh, you just sound like this person, or like you're copying this artist, or I mean, it happens in everything, but like you can see the influence. So immediately people want to jump to the fact that, you know, you're not unique in any kind of way. But like you just said, it's always unique. Even when you try to emulate perfectly, unless you're doing like completely electronic computer based sound. And even then, when you're producing, you'd be surprised how many things are automated differently when you like
and even then it's like, are you doing it or is the computer doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, I don't know.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to know what you can't remove yourself like from your environment, obviously. You know, like you can't, like anything you write, even a completely, like I don't think there's an original thought in the world, like honestly.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
true.
Yeah.
True. What are the most random words you could say in a string?
Me? Yeah. Right now?
Yeah. I want to try to
create. Oh my God, that's actually really hard.
Try to create the most unique moment right now.
Oh my God. I'm going to pass on that one. You can try.
Chicken bottle hanger, shoe tie, everything is all massive, great life vibes.
Okay, that made some sense to me. That made sense to me.
I got some energy from that. That was completely unique. I'm sure nobody's ever said those string of words.
Well, no, because it's true. Okay, but I like the way you're thinking, because it's like, my mom always talks about how when she goes to the grocery store, she thinks about how maybe no one has ever bought the same combination of things that she's bought. Because when you think about it, there's so many combinations of things at a grocery store that you can buy. And if you're doing a big trip.
Yeah, if you get like 2 carts worth, you know?
Right, or whatever. And like you have like kind of weird specific items that you like to eat that maybe don't sell that much.
That's so interesting.
Like maybe no one's ever done that. But have they bought the same things as you? Like everyone buys carrots sometimes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's like there's nothing original within it, but maybe the combination of things you did was actually like unprecedented.
I mean, also,
you know, so everything's original and nothing is.
When you get to the like very specific details as well, it's always unique, because that's a new thing, right? The carrots in that bag are completely different carrots than any other carrot that's ever been purchased in this world. And
I feel like we're saying nothing, but maybe also this is really deep, and I can't decide.
I hope whoever's if you're watching this and you're kind of like zooted right now, you're probably having a great time with
right.
That's cool.
Oh my God, it's so funny you say that, because the other day I logged into YouTube and like the algorithm just really was like, you're high. Like literally all the recommended things were like, I think it was because I'd like been projecting like party visuals on like the background of a party. Yeah. But it was like the recommendations were all like 20 hours of fractals played with meditating chakra music. And I was like, okay. And then the next one was like, how amazing the mushroom growth process is. And then like then the third one was like, this painter, like, oh my God, it really just awesome. Like it really just called me out.
Trying to catch you in some rabbit holes right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Quick transition, okay?
Yes.
We're gonna go into a little bit more of like we're gonna talk about the industry a little bit. Funny enough, we've talked about the music industry a lot in the most recent episodes, because we've had a lot of musicians or producers or people within the industry. But I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. If you had to guess, what are well, I don't know if you know the statistics already, but if you had to guess, how many in terms of percentage, what percentage do you think is of producers are women?
Of like Billboard charting?
Just the industry in general. If you were to look at a survey
I think it's
of
like
all of the
2
producers.
Point something. Yeah, but I only know that because I work in it. Yeah.
True, you know.
Yeah, but it is 2 point something, right?
Yeah. Let me read off some statistics.
Okay.
Okay. The ratio of male to female music producers is 49-1, which is 2.8%.
Yeah.
According to a study conducted by the University of Southern California from 2012 to 2017. The founder of Gender Amplified, actually, Ebony Smith, stated that she thinks this is due to things like socialization of girls and always approaching the same producers. What do you think, what's your take on that number and kind of what got us there and how maybe it's changing?
Yeah, okay, big question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising to me, honestly, obviously.
For sure.
I am like almost always the only woman in the room at all of my jobs. Well, not gender amplified because it's only women.
Good.
But that's kind of like the antidote, you know. But and non-binary people, by the way, as well, for gender amplified. Sure. But yeah, I mean, I think what's gotten us there is I mean, I think Ebony's right in terms of the socialization aspect. I think girls existing to like make other people happy and make other people happy by looking good and acting nice and not offending people is maybe a big part of it, because it's pretty hard to be creative under those conditions.
For sure.
It's pretty hard to like let your inhibitions go and like really be yourself in any real way.
For sure.
I don't know. I also just think like it's a boys' club. Like it kind of, I don't know, that type of thing is just self-perpetuating. But it's like, it's very bro-y. It's often very based on like gear, which like, it's obviously there's women who like gear, there's men who don't, there's non-binary people who do and don't, whatever. But I do find that to be like a very male vibe of like, which guitar do you have, like and like,
so like you mean when you say gear, you mean the specifics that they own, like the things that they have.
And like it's so funny. That's every microphone is like named with like a string of numbers, which I just like think is so ridiculous. I'm like, and I have to like know which ones are which for like my jobs and everything. But I'm just like, why couldn't you give them cute little names? Like, why couldn't it be like, I don't know, like the Olive and the Elizabeth or something.
What would you do?
Like,
what would you name? This was the SM7B.
Yeah, a classic broadcast mic. This could be like the Oswald.
The Oswald.
I don't know.
I love that.
Anything. Give me
That's
anything.
great.
Give me anything that's not numbers and letters.
So fun.
Like it's like, imagine if you were like, which type of paintbrush are you painting with? Like, is that a Beep Boop 437?
True. Wow,
like,
I never thought of that.
Like, who cares? Like, sometimes that's what it sounds like to me. I'm like,
it's the only thing I paint with.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I don't know. It's just like, in all seriousness, like those types of things are like, that is what makes it exclusionary. Like, that is what makes it so it's like, you can't just talk to someone about it. And that like barrier to entry, like none of this is actually complicated. Like it's just people who like want to like gatekeep in that way and like talk in like numbers and codes that people can't understand.
That's so interesting.
You know what I mean? Because there's a way to explain anything. Like you can just be like, oh yeah, like we're using this mic because it sounds good for radio or broadcast or whatever, and like we're positioning it this way because of this or whatever. But I mean, you can make it as like technical and like sound as intimidating as you want. So people do.
That's super fascinating. I never thought of that aspect of like, because that is a pretty bro-y thing. Like
oh my god, there's so many examples too. I mean,
for sure.
There's so many examples
in every industry too. Like computers with cameras, even like when we're talking about cameras, it's always numbers. Right. It's always like you got a 45, you got a 50 millimeter lens with the EOS-R, and you have.
Oh my god, and that's why all sound equipment is ugly, bro. Because it's just like men made it, so it's literally ugly and like looks like weird like sports, and it's just like I don't know. Sometimes
sport.
Sometimes they're like cases for like instruments. I'm just like.
Cases are usually super rugged,
unless
and
they're from
like
like the 60s and 70s, in which case it's like giving like classy like.
For sure.
Because I feel like people were a little less like it was okay to look like a little gay at that point. It was like fashionable.
Expressing.
But
right. I love that.
But yeah.
Well, that's so fascinating. And so you think that kind of when those conversations are happening or when it's being taught, you think those kinds of things kind of turn most women or younger girls away from like the industry and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that might be more of a symptom than a cause, honestly. Just like can women understand numbers? Like obviously.
I mean, yeah, of
but
course.
It's just like I think that type of gatekeeping is part of it.
It's not interesting, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm trying to think. I guess like, yeah, I've lost my train of thought. Continue.
No, that's good. No, that's
Cut that out.
that's a really fascinating. That's a really fascinating way to think about it. And I never really, of course, as a man, I would never be able to really perceive these things. But when I think about it, it just makes so much sense. And in terms of socialization as well, I think that has to do. I think that's a big part of it as well. I think that, like you said before, women are expected to kind of are expected to serve others and are expected to please others and kind of be there to fulfill needs and tasks and do things for other people. And it comes down to like the anatomy of a woman is like to give birth to something, to give that thing life. And I think that, I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things about that nature and being so giving, but I do see how, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that women didn't even have rights. So I can't see how things, now that they're starting to shift, a lot of industries are being breached by women who are of this age and of this culture and of a different breed. And I think that we're going to see a huge shift, in my opinion, because, I mean, women are already outperforming and outnumbering men in colleges. And that's going to affect every industry that exists at this point. So
yeah,
it's really
totally. I think there's a couple other aspects to it as well that I want to mention, which is like, one is maybe like emotional intelligence, like having, like, you kind of can't go through the world as like a woman or a non-binary person without like a certain level of like, just emotional intelligence, just like assessing situations, like what's my safety for one. Yeah. And also, like, are people happy? Like, am I making people happy? Like, what are the dynamics? What are the social vibes? And for better or for worse, and genuinely sometimes for better and genuinely sometimes for worse, like, men, I think, are just less attuned to that. Yes. Which can mean, like, you're kind of maybe more just, like, hard charging and just, like, like, let's go. Like, who cares what people think? But it also means you're, like, can be really like insensitive to like people in the room and like steamroll other people's ideas. So I think that's one part of it. And then the other part I would add is like physical safety. Like, like going to a late night studio session in like a completely different neighborhood, taking the train there, staying over on someone's couch. Like, you can see how like these things are not really gonna like work for like a young woman in the same way. Wow. And, like, if someone's like, oh, come to my home studio and, like, stay for a weekend, like, are they trying to sleep with you or are they not? Like, I don't, like, you have to be, like, assessing these things. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, so wild. So it's just, like, a lot more things you have to be thinking about, I think. And I think that's a big part of it, too, is, like, if it was, people, and for younger kids, too, like, if you have, imagine you have, like, a 13-year-old girl or, like, whatever, a teenage girl who's like, I'm really into production. Like, are you going to let them just like hang out on random DJs' couches? Like, that's like a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
You know what I mean? So, and like, look at all the like R. Kelly shit that's come out recently. Like, that stuff is like very real. For sure. I do think that like that's a piece of it. Both with like people, if their daughters like or their kids or whatever do have interest in it, like that kind of delays them, right? Because boys can just be going out like doing whatever and like not really worrying about that stuff. The sexual violence of it all. Yeah. And
that's so unfortunate that we live in that day and age. And you know, it's I mean, there's so many factors that contribute to that, and it would be hard to, of course, tackle all of those things. Right. I think that it's going to be a pretty long time until we have some kind of standard of normalcy when it comes to how people are treated, especially with the amount of people joining these industries and kind of what the expectations are. I think it makes total sense when there's an industry that's dominated by men, which is, you know, of course, a good amount of the industries. When women are introduced, it causes a natural tension that requires emotional intelligence that men haven't really had to deal with. I think that we got a lot of that wrong as well. So women are always having to deal with being in spaces with men and kind of adapting to the male presence. Men have typically in their industries don't have to adjust to the female presence.
Right, exactly.
It's very apparent because you said emotional maturity or intelligence, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole thing. I think men have, for a long time disregarded emotion and have considered it something that's not good for business and not good for life in general. Which is so
funny in the entertainment industry. Where like any song is about emotion. Everything and it's supposed to inspire emotion if it's a good song.
For sure. And I think a lot of it has to do with the mentality, the business mentality, and the way that we structured and the way that producers of the past have structured the music industry nowadays. I think that it's a problem that we've been dealing with for so long. And I think that with education, we can fix a lot of that within the male community, like within people who are men. Because, I mean, the emotionality of an individual has been something that's been talked about recently, but it's still kind of a big thing in those communities for that to not be talked about at all. And it's funny because there's so many misconceptions. Like we express ourselves as men in very aggressive ways because that's kind of like what our how our body works in terms of our hormones and just the way we react to things. And we've never been taught to, like, that wasn't a part of our education to be like, how do you manage that? How do you deal with that? How do you follow through and kind of get on the other side? And I think that that's always been ignored. So we've never gone to the deepest parts of us to address what our emotions are. And I think that just women have that in their community. They have that, you're taught that at a young age.
That's the
if
thing.
you have
That's
the correct
why I would
parents,
honestly hate to be a man. No offense.
Because listen,
it's like you can't have any. I mean, you probably can.
Mm-hmm.
Like real men now living in like Brooklyn, whatever. I'm sure can have male relationships, but I just
progressive
feel like,
cities, progressive families,
exactly. But it's just like you kind of like can't have friends. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot. Yeah, like I kind of feel like I don't know what men like talk about. Like there's like a lot. Like the close friendships you have with like non-men, I think are just like really deep in this way that like it's pretty hard to get there with male friendships.
For sure. I'm lucky enough, of course, to
totally
have friends that I was able to be super deep with, but I know so many people.
But I don't think that's the norm, honestly.
It's not the norm at all. I know so many people that didn't have like that couldn't really be friends with someone. They had to be very shallow and very kind of like over the top and not really ever addressing anything that's real. That's so many people. For sure. And there are things that are probably real, but for them there's like a level of comfort that's not really afforded. And it's conditioning, it's learning. We all learn what we know, so it's something that we can address, of course, for the future. But I think it starts within the within men and kind of how we move forward with them. And I think women are doing good. I think
so too. I think you guys have more work to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. You guys are dealing with a lot of oppression, but it's because of us. So it's like we should probably start. Yeah, let's figure this out. And it's funny because there's like I don't want to talk about men. Because there's spurts of that, right? There are certain communities that are coming up that are trying to make that happen.
Like men's groups and stuff.
Sure, but
I know some people who are in those. It actually seems kind of awesome to me.
I'm glad.
Yeah, like
because there are a lot of them that are popping up that are not good for men and are really, really bad for men.
Right.
And that's more popular.
Right.
That's more popular than anything else.
Yeah.
How the woman is out to
that's
get them.
That's why we live in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Super interesting. Music industry again.
Yes.
Do you watch? I don't even like talking about it, but do you watch award shows?
Oh, actually, yes. Because I feel an obligation to. Because I feel like when I walk into work, if I'm ignorant of it, it's like embarrassing for me.
True. I mean, that's a huge conversation in that time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I there is some validity to award shows and what they do in some ways. I think it's a way to kind of like bring people together to celebrate really beautiful things, but it's also like it's just one big competition that gets pretty annoying after a certain period of time. But one thing that is pretty interesting to state is that 2021, 2022, there were just no female producers that were nominated for any Grammys.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure there are a ton of reasons for that.
That is wild though.
I mean, it's kind of crazy though.
Yeah.
No, it's like
because I would say there's a lot of Grammys. Like it's not even like the top
Grammys.
3 or
No,
something, which
there's
is
a
like what
lot
people
of
think. But there's a
Grammys.
lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. There's categories on categories, especially for producers.
Yeah.
All the different genres as well. Like
Yeah.
not a single female producer.
Yeah.
What do you think that? Why do you think that is?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same stuff. I
yeah.
think it's just like there's so few names at the top level. That are even in play, and it's like, did they do a project this year or not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's also like the Recording Academy specifically, I guess, not to shout them out, but like they are kind of known for being like a bit behind the times.
For sure.
I think their taste tends to be pretty male, reflective of their voting body, which is very male.
Very male, of course.
Because it's like a democratic organization, right? So like who's it made up of? Men. And then like what albums do they like maybe noodlier ones, like maybe more male ones. So probably. Yeah, I think there's that aspect to it. And then I also think it is just like some of it I really think comes down to as well I don't think it's usually people being like, I don't want to hire women. I think it's a convenience thing more than anything. Yeah. I think it's like, how many are there available to you on your roster? Yeah. And I think also more than anything, it's like people don't want to take that risk sometimes.
Yeah. You know who you have and you know what they do. And
it's
they
like,
do it
let's say,
well.
let's put you in the position, like you're at a record label, you're supposed to get this record together. Yeah. It has to make X amount of money to like offset its studio costs, whatever. If you go to like your supervisor and you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why this song isn't a hit because like I put Pharrell and Timbaland in a room together and like, so I don't know why it's not a hit. Yeah. Did all I could have, right? Yeah. But if you're like, yeah, well, I don't know why it's not a hit. Like I put this random producer you've never heard of in a room and with this other random producer you've never heard of, they're like, okay, well, why didn't you call Pharrell? You know what I mean? So it's like, in a way, I think it's like a lot of people just kind of like repeating the formula that they know works. Not willing like to take for risks. Their own just like reasons, you know? And it's sometimes, it's like not that deep. Sometimes it's like people would, if they had a good option, hire someone else. But like that option, just like for all the reasons we've talked about, is like there aren't a lot of those options out there that like have been proven to like work again and again, you know?
Oh, that's so interesting. And it's difficult to address as well because, I mean, at the end of the day, we do need more female producers. You know, at the core of it, with that percentage, and I'm sure there are a lot more now, but the rate with all the men that also probably joined to be producers, especially during the pandemic, like
exactly,
it's probably still around the same amount, you know? So
I do feel like there's like, it's like the baby boom of DJs. It was like the pandemic. Like everyone's like, let me just like download Record Box real quick.
This is the baby boom of DJs, of musicians as well. Also podcasts. This one started during the pandemic.
Right. But I will say, like, not to like obviously you can make a joke and be like, so many DJs, whatever, but like it's actually kind of awesome that like we had that time to just like decide that we wanted to like start a little project. Like I'm not gonna ever hate on anyone's starting little projects. I think we all need more little projects. So,
we do. I have a lot of hobbies, but I don't know. There are a lot of people that don't have hobbies.
They
don't like.
Could never be me.
And creative hobbies too.
Right.
Some people just like go on runs and like.
And you know what? I think that's okay.
That's fine. You know, working out is cool.
Maybe okay.
But you gotta do something with your hands. You gotta like.
I do think it's important to do something with your hands. I agree with that.
You gotta like work your brain.
Yeah,
you know?
I do think it's important to do something with your hands. Where I get more concerned is like, sort of like consuming all day, like TikTok consumption and like.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
News just came out. Montana just banned TikTok.
Really?
Completely.
Wow.
You can't download it if you're in the state of Montana.
How are they going to enforce that?
I don't know.
How on earth can you enforce that?
Bro, VPNs, bro. Like, I don't know how you're going to even deal with that.
That's going to work.
Like, you just like, let me see your phone right now. Show me your phone.
Yeah,
show me your phone.
They do like stop and frisk of like TikTok.
Yeah, what's your password? Where's your password? Yeah. Like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of
like random
scary.
searches. I don't know how you're going to enforce that, but I mean, okay, I guess it's like
That's one way to deal with the problem.
I mean, it's like I'm not like
Yeah.
pro TikTok bans and I'm not like anti TikTok bans.
Mm-hmm.
I guess how I feel about it is like whenever you knock something down like that, like
Mm-hmm.
something else is gonna like fill that void. So like I think something else will probably come up.
I think they wanted to, but they just don't want it to be a Chinese company.
Right. And like
Which is
yeah,
like okay,
right.
but like I understand the concerns, but
But I want an
banning it,
American
like,
company to steal my data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. It's super fascinating.
Yeah, definitely.
I will about consuming. I'm probably gonna have a get off YouTube for a week thing, like
Yeah.
where I just delete it because God, there's so many. Like you said earlier, it's some rabbit holes.
Right.
And I do learn a lot. Like
Right.
there are some things where it's super educational. I'm like, this is great. Like I watch a lot of debates.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of discussions on contentious topics, and I learned a lot from those things. But God, some of it is just so useless.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just catch myself watching 3-hour videos of like internet drama.
I can
Like, I don't care about any of these people.
Yeah, I've never met a single one
But
of
I
you.
also care so much. It's
Right.
like ridiculous. It's like reality TV.
Yeah, and it's also like sometimes I put on podcasts and
Yeah.
I realize I'm like, I'm not listening to this.
Mm-hmm,
Like, what am I doing? Like,
It's white
like,
noise.
Yeah, it's maybe just so I don't
Yeah.
have to like listen to my thoughts in my brain and like
Yeah, exactly.
maybe I should listen to my thoughts in my brain for a minute. Yeah.
Recently, I've been having a problem. Like I got brought. Somebody brought this to my attention. Someone who's in the house with us right now.
And are they in the room right now?
They are.
Yeah.
They're behind me.
Yeah.
I sometimes I miss things completely. And
Wait,
it's just
which
because
things? I'm
like,
sorry, I
miss,
honestly
no,
forget what we were talking about.
No, we're talking about consumption.
Okay.
Sometimes I just miss things, and they'll ask me like a few days later and be like, "Hey, do you remember this?" I'm like, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Because there's too much content pouring in. Oops, sorry.
There's
There's
so
too much
much.
content pouring in sometimes.
And if for some reason we decide to make
That's
more.
the thing. There's a lot of content.
There's a lot of
and
content.
I hate to be that person who's like, I don't know, because I really think a lot of the stuff of like the kids are gonna be so fucked up by like TikTok is like, I think there's been a lot of like moral panics of that kind like throughout history. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people used to think
So
like
many.
reading books was like gonna like literally like disconnect people from reality or something.
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
the same stuff. So I think that's just kind of how it goes with like any new thing in some way.
Whenever something
I don't
comes out, we
know.
always find the tippity top where it's like, this is where no one should go.
Yeah.
And then we kind of like learn like, okay, here's where it's fun.
Right.
And then here's where it's like life destroying.
Right.
It's like
exactly.
drugs. It's the
I
same
gotta
thing.
say, I think TikTok's a little life destroying.
Just a little bit.
I
know?
don't have
Yeah.
it. Which is, I know like most people who like want to do like production or like making little short content, whatever. But
It's popular.
I feel like it's gonna be counterproductive for me because I know I would download it and like get in my little algorithm hole and then like
And the algorithm
I wouldn't
really
be making
gets
music.
you.
I'd be doing
Oh my
that,
gosh.
and I don't have time to do that. I don't have
Either.
any time.
A lot of people talk about why TikTok is successful, and they say like, oh, you put content out and it gets a lot of views because even when you're a newer page, it's just like you can boom on TikTok.
Right.
It's because it's so addicting. So
Right.
there are so many people addicted that even if like there are so many people just scrolling all day, they're able to see the amount of content that's being poured out because there's a lot of stuff being released on TikTok.
Yeah.
I would be so curious to see the numbers.
Yeah.
Billions and billions of hours just being posted and also
Right.
spent on
It's
TikTok. It's
very
kinda
odd.
nuts.
It's very odd. And
Yeah.
what concerns me is like how much I see it playing into the music industry. Like people getting signed off the strength of like a viral video.
Oh my god. Which is
like
nuts to me.
I'm not against anyone getting signed, and like if you discover a great song that way, like awesome. I guess it's just like when the stats and the numbers like that are the only thing you look at, that really concerns me.
I mean, I'm sure there's one
Yeah.
artist that I know that I don't know personally, but I do you know the song Golden Hour?
I don't know if
It's
I know that
think it's
song.
Jake is the guy's name.
Okay.
But I found the song and it's a beautiful song. I heard it, I was like, oh, this is such a great song. And I followed him and I was like, oh great, I can't wait to see what else he has. Everything he posts is that song.
Right.
Because of how viral it went and how every single clip that he makes with that song in it, there's a whole new audience that finds it. But he's only making that content.
Yeah.
And as him, that artist, I would probably assume that's so agonizing.
Right.
The same song. I mean, he
You know
looks like
it works.
he looks like he's
again,
having
yeah.
fun.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't
Right.
look like he's having fun. But
Right.
God, that's the biggest thing. Is like I'm sure that just kills your because then that same person releases another song and it gets like maybe 2% of the
right.
And then if you're signed, it's like it's not good enough. Start promoting that other song.
I know.
Again,
I think the music industry. I honestly, people are like, TikTok's the future of the music industry. I don't think that can possibly be right. Like,
I hope not.
I don't think that can possibly be right.
I don't want it to be.
Yeah, I think we're like gonna get to a point where we're like I think we're in this like moment of like very. It feels very exciting to do that kind of like data driven like signing someone, and I think like in a couple of years it'll be like no one cares. Like is the music good? Like are you actually retaining? Like do you actually have a fan base who cares?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Going a little more personal. Do you have any endeavors that you're going for? Any personal things that you're looking to achieve or kind of bring to the world?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think I want to be songwriting more with other people, for other people. That's something I love to do. I scored a little bit for this movie that's coming out this year, and I would love to do more of that. That was really cool.
That's so cool.
And I also got to music supervise a little bit on that. Assisted with it, which was really cool because I think like you can take a movie and just like make it so much better with soundtrack, and
need it.
Yeah, being honestly done and like have everything wrapped up and being like I found all these songs from like all these different places and like I put this soundtrack together and like listening to it is very satisfying.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I do want to be better about putting out my own music. I think I just kind of get caught up in like other people's projects and commercial projects, and I don't always have a lot of time left. Like sometimes I want to like sleep on the weekend. But yeah, I think I want to be better about like putting stuff out and finishing stuff. But no, I mean, I think I don't know if there's much I really want to give to the world. I think I just want to like love the people around me and like feel happy and contented. It's kind of like my vibe, my goal. But yeah, no, I try to balance that with like some healthy ambition, you know.
For sure.
It would definitely be cool to like have a hit or two and then like not have to like just work like again.
Coast.
That would be cool.
Listen, if anybody asks me, do you want to be a one-hit wonder? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Just get me going. Give me a few 6 tours on the same album. I'm good.
Easily.
I'm good, and I can just coast.
I think exactly. I think it's like there's people too who just, you never know with like this type of sync stuff. Like there's people too who've sort of like written something that's ended up being like the theme or like the tag or mnemonic of some. Like imagine whoever wrote the like Netflix like
geez.
they're fine. They're on vacation right now. Like let me tell you. So I think like even if it's just something like silly like that, and you get to kind of like then do whatever you want and like make your music and vibe. Great, you know.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. Well, I'm excited to see what you got going on in the future.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're of course going to be following and paying attention.
Yeah.
Which is
you as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. We're running a little low on time. We could keep going forever about these conversations, these topics. I also had like 5 other questions that I didn't get to ask, but it's okay.
You can keep going. I don't care.
No, it's okay. We got it. I want to get these guys home.
Okay.
But yeah, just thank you for being here.
Yeah.
To end off the episode, if you don't mind giving us a few ways to support you, whatever ways they are. If you got shows coming up, if you got parties going on, because you're a DJ as well. Whatever you can, and then words of wisdom for us.
Aw, that's so sweet. Okay, I'd say, I guess, the best way to kind of keep up to date with me is definitely to follow me on Instagram, which is amara.jaguar, which is just like a little misspelling of my last name. And then, I guess book me for DJ events. Yeah. Ask me to produce your project or like do a little collab with me. I'm always down to co-write stuff. Nice. Yeah, I'm freelance, so
sick.
Hire me. Always down to be hired. Yeah. For sure. But definitely.
Cool. That's awesome.
Thanks for watching. If anyone's out there watching.
Got some words of wisdom for everybody?
Oh, words of wisdom. I think it's maybe just like have fun.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's like the type of thing of just like things will fall into place if you're working hard and like doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And find good people, I guess, maybe is huge. Yeah, because I think I would really be nowhere without like finding good people. I definitely would have quit like 10 times over. No, 100. I'm dead serious.
It's a big part of having fun. With what
dead
you're doing
serious. Is like finding people in your work environment that you like working with.
Agreed.
I think that's maybe the biggest thing. Huge.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Of course.
And yeah, I'm sure everyone watching learned something very valuable. I hope so. I hope you, if you're here still and you're watching, thank you so much for being here.
Or you're just in the mindless content hole like we talked
Yeah,
about.
hey,
One or the other.
Snap out of it.
Yeah.
We're done. So the video's about to end. Turn off the YouTube app or whatever you're playing
go meditate
on.
or something.
Yeah, go chill.
Yeah.
All right. Don't go to TikTok.
Go call your mom. Go call your mom, maybe.
Call your parents.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for watching. And then also, again, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having
excited
me.
to see what you got going on next.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.